Higgins joins us from Downey, California. Good morning, Father. An honor to have you here on the Bishop's Hour.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here and be with you.
You were a priest in the Diocese of Los Angeles?
Right. I'm a pastor at a parish here and also a fire chaplain.
And which parish are you with?
I'm at St. Raymond's in Downey.
Yes. Yes, very good.
You've heard of us, I hope.
How do you get released to go to do firefighting duty?
Well, it's just local. The firehouse is about a block and a half from here, so I just stop by and visit firehouses. I'm not full-time with the fire department or anything.
Are there unique ministry needs of people who are firefighters?
Lots of them. Firefighters are like any other group. There are all kinds of religions, different age groups, and firefighters have kind of a brotherhood that you've got to be accepted by them in order to do any real ministry. And it's a unique kind of situation. You can't just walk into the firehouse and tell them, I'm your chaplain, sit down and listen. It doesn't work.
Now, is this a city, county, state position, or is this simply from the Catholic Church?
Well, it's not an official position. I'm not paid or anything. The fire chief asked me if I would just be the chaplain, and I said, sure. So it's a city fire department, Downey City Fire, and I just visit the guys and hang out with them, go on the truck and get rides. I'm an honorary captain, but I don't get paid. I get a free T-shirt and all the ice cream I can eat.
You get to eat with them.
I get to eat with them, yeah. So firefighter food is pretty good.
That's as good as getting paid.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes I take them pies. I've told them I don't know how to walk into a firehouse without carrying pies or ice cream.
So, can we trade jobs for a week?
Well, yeah, that'd be kind of fun. I'll introduce you to the guys. They'd probably like you.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. Tell us, so you're the chaplain for the firehouse without regard for denomination.
Right. And I've talked to all kinds of religions there. The guys, one guy told me that he was an Orthodox pedestrian. So there's a lot of humor, but they respect the Catholic Church. Even the guys that are Mormon or Protestant or other religions. There's one Jewish guy that I talked to. They're very respectful, and they know that I'm not going to try to push Catholicism on them. I'm there for their needs, not the other way around.
Although you certainly do minister, I presume, to Catholics in confession in a firehouse. Can you say Mass in a firehouse?
I can do confession. I've never thought about doing Mass at the firehouse just because we're only a block and a half away from the church. There are 4 firehouses here in Downey, and I've done one wedding of a firefighter, but that was over here at the church, and it was off duty, so, but I've gone over there, and they've teased about, so-and-so needs to go to confession, but I've never actually done it at the firehouse. But there are guys that come to me with marriage problems or with other problems that they have, or I'll sit and talk with one of the guys about, for example, right now there's a big, with the financial situation in all the cities, there's a lot of negotiations going on, and I try to guide them to be always people of integrity and keep the high road in whatever they do. So,
it seems to me that it must be a time of high stress. I mean, it's a stressful job, no doubt.
Yeah.
If you look at 3 cities in California have already filed bankruptcy, many more are talking about it. And it seems that the only way cities can get out of some of these unfunded liabilities for pensions and things like that is to declare bankruptcy.
Right.
And I know in my hometown, I think we have 4 people to an engine now. They're talking about taking it down to 3. They're talking about dramatically changing pension benefits for new people, new hires coming in.
Right.
And I think that's going on throughout California just because we are just in a fiscal sinkhole.
We are, and our city is pretty financially stable, so they're not facing big cuts like that, but they're looking down the road as to what's going to happen if, for example, we have to take some of the trucks or the engines out of service if they can't afford good equipment. Those kinds of things are things that they're hoping to avoid in the future. So they don't mind the cuts personally themselves for some of their benefits, but they want the safety of the firefighters and the safety of the citizens, which I'm completely behind the safety issues for everybody.
Do you sense that firefighters as a group, because of the nature of their work, tend to look to the Almighty maybe a little more than some of the rest of us do?
You know, I think they do in certain situations, but their approach seems to be kind of like military guys or whatever. They're not overtly pious, but I think they do have a deep faith, and they really value their family relationships, and they value each other. But the way the firefighters show love to each other is by teasing, which you probably already know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I realized I was accepted when they gave me a walker. You know, that teasing kind of thing. But when I've prayed with them, the prayers, they really get serious about that, and they take it to heart, not in a pious way, but in a really reverent. They're really reverent when we start talking about, you know, a prayer over an event that they're going to go to or something like that. I think they're very, very reverent, and they're really. They keep their faith kind of private because it's not appropriate to do that at work, but they're certainly the kind of folks that bow their heads, and I can see by their expressions they're taking it seriously.
Now, you are a Catholic chaplain. I mean, you're more than a Catholic chaplain. You're a chaplain, but you are Catholic.
Yes.
And you're working in a public firehouse. I know it's a volunteer position, but a public firehouse. Are there any church-state issues at all that come up?
Well, we've avoided those just with a good sense of humor about it. For example, on Ash Wednesday, I visited every firehouse with ashes, and I said, this isn't an official Catholic act, but anybody who wants to get their forehead dirty can do so. And they all laughed. They knew exactly what I was talking about. So we go around those issues with a good sense of humor, and I don't try to push it on anybody. I've given ashes. They've asked me to do prayers, and when I did the prayer, I actually said, I'm going to check my glasses, my belt buckle, my wallet, and watch, and made the sign of the cross. And they laughed because I'm not allowed to be Catholic, but I made the sign of the cross, and even the Mormon guys made the sign of the cross with me, just because they respect the fact that I'm not trying to push anything, but I'm kind of being humorous about it and drawing people into prayer. Church and state issues, I just kind of avoid. I don't want to put a crucifix on every fire truck, you know.
And ashes on the forehead. I mean, that's going to be you're going to be hard to tell if that's an Ash Wednesday thing or the guy just got back from a fire.
Exactly. and they kind of go around that issue and just they're not interested in the church-state battle, and. To the credit of the city of Downey, they don't make a big deal out of it either. You know, they don't want to get into a church-state kind of argument. So I'm very sensitive to that the city of Downey doesn't want to get into that. I don't want to get into it. So we keep those kinds of things separate. But firefighters always come to our parish carnival. I go over there all the time. There's a good relationship with Downey City Fire and the police. And the Catholic and other parishes of other denominations here in Downey, that there's a good relationship, and they respect, but they're not gonna swear allegiance to any one kind of church or anything.
But I bet you do a fair amount of, whether you know it or not, evangelization by example.
Well, yeah, that's my goal, is evangelization by example, not to get them to be exactly like me, because that would be horrible if everybody was like me. but to bring out their own good faith relationship with God and with their family and with the community. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, firefighter schedules are such that there has to be times where guys planning on going to Mass at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, and the bell rings, and he's got to put his helmet on and go to work.
Well, he's already at work, so he can't go to Mass, because he can't leave the firehouse just to walk over here to go to Mass. So, they're like anybody else that has to work on Sunday. The Sunday obligation is abrogated for them. And the Catholic guys that have their kids in Catholic schools will try to make Mass during the week and everything, and that's fine. And I'll go and visit them on Sunday evenings, for example. There's one Catholic guy he's got his kids in Catholic church or in a Catholic school, and I'll go visit him and take communion, or we'll say a little prayer, and he'll say, "I missed Mass today," and I go, "Yeah, I know," but he's at the firehouse. He's got to be there. He can't take an hour off to go to Mass,
Right, and it's one of those jobs that it's not like having your store open on Sunday. This is it's like hospital workers or cops, firefighters.
Yeah, you can't close the firehouse on Sunday morning.
No, absolutely, absolutely not. And our faith certainly recognizes that.
Oh yeah.
The schedules though, and I don't know. I guess every fire department's a little bit different, but there's tends to be stretches of time where you can be with your family all the time, and then
right.
There's some pretty big gaps where you're not even spending the night with your family.
Right. Our fire department works 2 24-hour shifts, and they're off 4 24-hour shifts, and they're back on for 2. So we have an A, B, and C, and they do 2 24-hour shifts each. So they're away from their family for 48 hours, then they go home. And a lot of their calls are at night, so they go home and sleep sometimes. So
yeah.
Sometimes they can get to Mass, and sometimes they can't, and they do the best they can, which is all all that God wants from us is to do what we can do. That we can't do the impossible.
Yeah, very good. Well, they're lucky to have you, and I hope someday to get down there. If you keep the ice cream cold and the pie hot, we'll both get along real well.
That's what I do best, is keep the ice cream cold and the pie hot.
Very good. Father Higgins, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you here on the Bishop's Hour. I hope our paths cross again.
Thanks. Call anytime you want. I'm always open to do this. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much.
God bless.